Hey, I'm Tsea, and me and my friend Snowballtheanvill just spent the last 2 days making a video game for the GMTK Game Jam in 2023. The theme this year was roles reversed. What did we end up doing? Did we do it in time? And did my car catch fire? You'll have to find out what us make the flux phenomena. After discovering what the theme was, we immediately got to work figuring out what we wanted to create. Now, the automatic thing I wanted to go for was a classical game, but you were the enemy. The idea I came up with was tower defense, but you're the balloons fighting back against the towers. But Snowball came up with a very different idea, which at first I struggled to understand, but in the end, turned out to be a really interesting and unique idea. This idea? Well, it was a puzzle game, but you could swap the properties of objects. For example, if you have a fan and a laser, you can select them, swap them. Now the fan is shooting a laser, and the laser can push you around. After figuring out what we wanted to work on, it was immediately on to making it. Remember, we only have 48 hours to complete this, so we want to spend as much time as possible working on it. The first thing we started working on was the player movement. Now this is very particular for me, and I spent a long time on it. A little too long. In the end, I went through one self-made controller and 3 from the Unity Asset Store before settling on one from a tutorial which suited my need of the jam. And with all of that done, day 1 is complete. It was on to day 2. Today's objective was swap in the objects. Now, this was hard. Very hard. And after several attempts, I decided to move on to something else and come back to the system later. What I decided to work on was a simple pickup system for certain items in the game. Now this was fairly simple, and I would like to explain to you how it works. When the player presses the interact key, which in our case is E, a ray shoots out from the camera to a certain distance. If this beam comes into contact with an object that is tagged as interactable, it gets moved into a pickup position in front of the player. Now from there, it slowly follows the point until you press E again, where it then drops. Now this system isn't perfect, the cube sometimes, well, majority of the time, tends to go a little bit crazy. But it works, which is the good thing. The next thing on my list of things to do whilst procrastinating the swap system was creating the map. For this I used an asset called Pro Builder, and after following about 20 minutes worth of Brachy's tutorials, I thought I was ready for creating the world. My first room was a simple put the cube on the pressure plate room to open the door. My second was an ominous pit room held up with 2 gun models, which I will get back to later. The third was a gun pickup room, and the fourth was one I needed to use a swap mechanic for. Because I still don't want to work on the swap mechanic, I would like to pass over to Snowball to show you what he's been doing over the last 24 hours. Unfortunately, due to a deadline for getting this video out, and the fact that Snowball is at work, we were unable to get him to tell you what he has done, so you will have to put up with me to tell you instead. He has been script writing. Yes. We chose to have the completely original idea of having an AI talk to you to travel around the facility, except it isn't an AI, it's Snowball. Now that's a terrifying thought, isn't it? He's also the voice of the AI in our game. Now, when you travel around the facility, you will hit triggers that will start and stop voice lines. Here's an example of one of them working.
Hello? Hello? Is anyone there? They've left me here for 4 days now. I'm quite cramped in here.
He's also written a lot of humour into the script, which I find amazing and really funny when you're walking around and you hear him say random stuff.
Marco! Oh, no, wait, I meant to respond to that. If anyone's there, say Marco. I'll wait.
Snowball was also the one who planned out the majority of the game, like the rooms, what they should do, what they should look like, mechanics inside of them, and he also did all the 3D models for the game, like the cube, the pressure plate, and a bunch more that didn't even make it in because we didn't have time. I would like to say a massive thank you to Snowball for being such a great jam partner and for kind of carrying the whole project. Thank you very much. Moving on, it's time for day 3. Now, you may be asking, Tsea, didn't you say there are only 2 days to complete the jam in? Well, dearest viewer, we had 48 hours, which is the same as 2 days, but due to the time when the jam started, it was stretched across 3 days. Anyway, today was time to work on the system I've been dreading throughout this entire process, the swap system. Now, Snowball and I had many different ideas on how we wanted to implement this, but in the end, the one we chose for the jam was one where we swapped the tags of the objects, and then have the objects change their properties depending on what the tag was. The system works, which is good, but there's a large issue, which is that there is no confirmation as to whether you have selected an object or not. This is apparent when Deynum Stuidos played the game the other day and found it very difficult to understand how to use it. Unfortunately, due to the time limit, we were only able to add in one example of the system working. With that done, there are a few final steps we need to complete before we're able to click build and get the game out there. And with them now done, we are ready. Now, Unlike the last jam I did with my friend Ruben, we submitted our entry an hour and a half before the jam ended to avoid missing the deadline. Snowball made some amazing cover art for the game, and I made the description and submitted the game. Thank you very much for watching, and thank you again for Snowballtheanvill for being a part of this. If you want to check out the game, there will be a link in the description, and whilst you're there, please consider subscribing. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time.